Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Alarm Notifications. My employer was a medium-sized business, approximately 50 employees at the time, and I happened to live right across the street from our office. Shortly after I started working there, they asked me if I would mind being listed as a contact for the burglar alarm, since all of the admin people lived pretty far away, and I was right across the street. They said anytime the burglar alarm goes off, someone has to drive over to meet the police. Don't ask me why, I don't really understand the policy. At the time, I was a young, naive, recent college grad, and figured I would try to be helpful, and told them I didn't mind. Our internal company policy was, if you accidentally set the alarm off, you immediately call the people on the alarm company's list, in order, so they know it's a false alarm, and they can tell the alarm company to ignore it. At the outset, this worked pretty well. I'd get a few false alarm calls a year, but I'd always get an apologetic call from the employee that set the alarm off, so I would just tell the alarm company to ignore it. Then the company started growing, and we started having more and more false alarms, as we had new employees that would forget about the alarm. And then we started having employees that would ignore the policy, and would just leave after setting the alarm off, without notifying anybody. After I got wise to this, I started telling the alarm company to ignore everything, even if I didn't get a call, because we started getting charged false alarm fees. And I figured there was a 99% chance it was a false alarm. I figured we shouldn't waste the time of the police, or waste company money paying false alarm fees. I brought this up in a meeting with our COO, and they lost it, and insisted that we couldn't ignore alarm events. Because what if someone really did break in, and somebody was working late? They could be at risk. So I said, okay, staff need refresher training, because they aren't following the policy to notify me of false alarms. So we are going to have a ton of police dispatches for false alarm events. COO minimizes the issue and insists the current policy is fine and no retraining is necessary. So anytime I got an alarm call without someone notifying me of a false alarm, I followed the policy and had them send the police. There were 2 or 3 false alarm calls, but the police showed up, found nothing, and sent us a bill. The very next call, I sent the police like the policy said, and right as they were pulling up, they saw a vehicle pulling out of the parking lot and chased it. The employee that got chased? Yeah, it was the CEO. In addition to getting chased, he ended up getting cited for speeding as well. The next day, the COO tries to pin this on me, like it's somehow my fault. To which I reply, I just followed the policy you gave me. The next day, the entire company went through refresher training on alarm procedures, and I was taken off the alarm call list. I count it as a win. The next story is called What He Demanded. I divorced my ex a little over 9 years ago, after 14 years of marriage. Early on during the marriage, I tended to not be all that assertive, until I finally had my fill and grew a backbone. He hated that. He did not like hearing the word no from me, or me doing things my own way. So fast forward to a month after we were officially divorced. He was in his new place, and I was in my house, formerly the house we shared, with our sons. But he still had a ton of his stuff there. Stuff I didn't want, even though I paid for a lot of it. But stuff I knew he really wanted. He finally reached out and demanded. Not ask, demanded. I sent him his stuff. Just toss it all in boxes and send it over to him, were his exact words. He was only about 10 miles away from me at that point, and could have easily come over to do it himself. He didn't want to do that, because he'd have to see me, something he was actively trying not to do. Cue the malicious compliance. A lot of what he had were collectibles. Some of it was fairly expensive and fragile, so I did as he demanded. I tossed it all into numerous boxes. Some of the truly expensive items I did take great care in packaging them, only because I knew my sons would probably eventually want them. But for the stuff I knew my ex really wanted and cared a lot about, I just tossed it all in a box without a care in the world. I did inspect everything, and while I just dumped them in boxes, nothing was damaged by me. I also took pictures of it to prove it. So once I closed them all up, I told him to either get over to pick it up or get someone to do it for him. He got someone to do it. I was not at the house when this person picked everything up, but my sons and sister were. They did not know how everything was packed. They only showed him the boxes. They told me that the person who picked up the boxes quite literally just tossed them into the back of his pickup without a care in the world and then sped away. Later that night, I got a call from my ex, who started calling me names for destroying all his stuff. I told him that everything was fine before I closed the boxes up, and I had proof of it. I then said that maybe next time be a bit nicer to me when making requests, and reminded him he demanded that I toss it all in boxes. But he didn't tell me to be gentle in doing so. I hung up on him and proceeded to enjoy my celebration glass of wine that evening, hoping that he was enjoying the shattered remains. The last story is called Wholesome Compliance. I have a patient who deals with occasional mental confusion. He usually has a personal aide, so he's used to getting whatever he wants when he wants it. I pride myself on being able to get along with and even build relationships with the most difficult of patients, but he has proven difficult to me due to the combination of entitlement and his confusion. He had his son visiting him today and was severely under the impression that his son was taking him home. Any attempt of explanation fell on deaf ears. His son left, but he didn't give up. He insisted I take him to the front door and let him leave, despite there being freezing rain and no one to take him anywhere. Eventually, after 3 times of him telling me to take him to the door and my futile attempts to redirect or reassure, he told me if I wouldn't take him to the door, he would write me up for insubordination. I figured, why not? At least writing me up would keep him distracted from trying to leave. And it truly seemed like the only way to calm him down. There were at least 5 witnesses to what was happening, so I wasn't worried about facing any discipline. I grabbed the complaint form, a pen and a clipboard for him. As I did this, the nurse caught on to what I was doing and started just laughing. I brought her the form and even helped him fill it out, spelling my full name for him and showing him my name tag as proof that I was giving my real name. Eventually I had to move to stand behind him, cause I couldn't hide my laughter. My director of nursing came over and the nurse explained the situation. I brought the patient over to her and he handed the form in. I just had the biggest grin, as everyone was going purple, trying to contain their laughter. The director was a total bro about it and played along with it, while also taking him to play bingo, satisfied that I was being appropriately reprimanded. The director let me keep the complaint form, as long as I completely scratched out his information, and I framed it next to my Employee of the Month certificate. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.